Apparently, Donald Trump does not like early voting. He doesn't like mail-in voting. But early returns in your state show that Republicans have what has been quoted by Newsweek, an unheard of edge. What does that mean? Why is it happening?
Well, it's a very good question. The headline, of course, of why it's happening, Stephanie, is that they suddenly woke up and realized, maybe we ought to use early voting to our advantage the way that the Democrats have in the past. As you know, Stephanie, because we've talked about this before, the so-called Harry Reid machine, which has survived beyond his death in 2021, banks all of these votes during early voting so that the Republicans can't catch up on Election Day. I have never seen what's happening now, which is that the Republicans actually have a lead of about 4%, Stephanie, statewide. And so they are already crowing about this. They're already, some of them at least, are saying that Nevada is in the bag.
That's the ultra-liberal John Ralston freaking out over the key swing state of Nevada, a swing state no Republican presidential candidate has won in 20 years. It's happening. Even liberals are admitting something is happening that they have never seen before. With just 7 days to go, we're going to see what's happening in the two states whose populations overwhelmingly vote early, so we can see what the 2024 results already look like in real time. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. You know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You do not want to miss a single video as we head into the last 7 days of this campaign, and I am absolutely dedicated to giving you the single best campaign coverage out there. Also, before we dive into everything here, did you ever wonder how people like Nancy Pelosi seem to know exactly when to buy certain stocks? How politicians seem to have secret knowledge of what's going to do well in the market? Well, it's all insider trading. You know that. Pelosi and cronies have been getting away with it for years. But guess what? You and I actually have access to that very same inside information. Thanks to a little-known SEC loophole, we can track what the big corporate CEOs are buying up in real time. Then we could just ride their coattails into financial success legally and ethically. Once you learn the secret of the trade, you're in. Now, to do that, you have to join me along with my good friend and trading expert, Ross Givens, this Thursday, October 31st at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's a free online training. Ross is the real deal. His insider tips have led to returns over 200%, and some have hit as nearly high as 1,500%. It's going to be huge, but seats are limited. So just click on that link below, snag one of the remaining seats. Again, it's online. You can enjoy it from the comfort of your own couch. And best yet, it's absolutely free. It's going to change your life, gang. You can't afford to miss it. Make sure to click on that link below right now. You may have seen this. This is the latest from all the betting market sites. This is Polymarket, Predictit, Kalshi. Kamala Harris has officially dropped below the 40% odds in all betting markets tracked by Real Clear Politics. That's the first time that has happened in this entire election. Just 7 days before the big day. Now, again, betting markets are reactive, not predictive, but they do give us a sense of who's got all the mojo, who's got the momentum going into this election, and clearly all the momentum is swinging in Trump's direction. You can see the top red line there, way above Kamala's sagging little blue line there. And, of course, CNN wants you to think this is close. Now, the key here is we're seeing that in the early voting. What you're just seeing in those betting markets, we're seeing in real time with the early voting, particularly in two very important swing states right now, Nevada and Arizona. The reason why Nevada and Arizona are so important, especially in understanding what to expect from this election, is because the majority of their populations vote early. We're talking upwards of 80, 90%. We've talked about this before. Every state is different. So in my backyard in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvanians vote late. 70% of Pennsylvanians vote on Election Day. For whatever reason, that's That's the stubborn habit of Pennsylvania. Good habit, whatever you want to say. I'm being descriptive, not prescriptive. Whereas nearly 89% of Arizonans vote early. So their early voting is highly predictive of the outcome, not just of their own states, but the makeup of the electorate as a whole, all across the nation. And what we're seeing right now is that Republicans are absolutely running away with this thing, gang. They are crushing it. In fact, Republicans are right now completely overturning the historic pattern of a Democrat firewall, right? You all know what a firewall is. That's the Democrat early vote lead that they amass going into Election Day. And instead, right now, we're seeing nothing less than the amassing of a red firewall. Again, you heard that guy at the very beginning of this video. We've simply never seen anything like this before. The numbers coming out, particularly of Nevada, are absolutely stunning. That's what that guy, John Ralston, was referring to. This is what the Republican early lead is looking like. It's getting more and more each and every day. The Republican vote lead is through the roof. Again, by comparison, this time in 2020, it was the Democrats who had a 40,000 early vote lead. Today, gang, it is the Republicans with a 40,000 vote lead and counting. The early vote advantage has been stood on its head. They're now calling it the Red Firewall. Generally speaking, historically, firewalls are always blue. The Democrats rack up a massive lead in the early voting. There's all kinds of reasons for that, but they rack up this massive lead and then hope that that lead withstands the massive Republican turnout on Election Day. And in Nevada, for the last 20 years, since 2004, it has. The Harry Reid machine has kept Nevada blue. The blue firewall has withstood the Republican Election Day turnout advantage. Now it's a red firewall. It's Republicans that are amassing the early vote lead, and an absolutely massive one at that. And to make matters worse, it's disproportionately made up of low to no prop voters. Low to no, right? Those of you who've been with our channel for some time now know what I'm talking about. And of course, if you're not, make sure you smack that bell and subscribe button. You do not want to miss a single video. We give you all kinds of juicy information here. But a low propensity voter is a voter who's just voted in one or two of the last 4 elections. And a no propensity voter is a voter who has not voted at all in the last 4 elections. So that's what we call low to no. And as you can see from this visual here, Republicans have an advantage over Democrats with voters who voted in 2 of the last 4 elections, 1 of the last 4 elections, and no of the last 4 elections. Now, that's huge because it suggests that Republicans are not cannibalizing their vote. So if everyone that's voting early, normally, historically, always voted on Election Day, then Republicans are just rearranging their vote, right? The Democrats can just turn around and overwhelm the Republicans on Election Day, since they would have already exhausted their own voting in the early voting. But if a significant number of the Republicans' early votes are coming from people who have never voted before or who just registered Republican this year, or maybe have only voted in one of the last 4 elections or 2 of the last 4 elections, then that means that the Republicans who always come out and vote haven't voted yet. In other words, Republicans have plenty more gas in the tank for Election Day. On the flip side, however, the fact that the Democrats have less low to no prop voters voting in the early voting means they are indeed cannibalizing their high prop Election Day vote. So this is key to understanding what's happening in Nevada, and as we'll find out in a moment, what's happening in Arizona as well, even more dramatically, actually. Republicans are winning the early vote. All the while, Democrats are expending more of their own voters in the process. Democrats are not just losing the vote, but they're cannibalizing more of their high propensity voter in that losing early vote. So as I noted, the same thing is happening as well in Arizona, and again, more dramatically. As of yesterday, the Republican lead in Arizona early voting, gang, surpassed the 100,000 mark. Again, I cannot underscore how absolutely stunning this is. We have never seen this before historically in early voting. Republicans now have a lead of over 100,000 votes in the early voting. That's a 7.4 lead margin statewide. It suggests at the end of the day, Trump is going to win this thing with a +5 or +6 win in Arizona, which would be amazing because that would suggest a solid win in Nevada as well, and would, with the Latino vote swinging in Trump's direction, put a lot of pressure on Kamala in New Mexico as well. So we showed you yesterday how New Mexico is closer than ever before. Trump is polling within the margin of error there. He's doing a rally in Albuquerque. I believe it's this Thursday. And it's all reflective of the stunning momentum that we're seeing in real time as this election plays out among two states where 80 to 90% of their population vote during this week. They vote early. So we're seeing, as it were, election day kind of, played out or strung out over the course of these 2 or 3 weeks in Arizona and Nevada. Now, in terms of the low prop to no prop voters there, a big shout out to Rich Barris for these stats. He gave these out yesterday on his live stream with Robert Barnes on the What Are the Odds. Rich has extensive polling from Arizona that shows that 57,000 of Republican votes thus far, 57,000 are from no prop voters. Those are voters who voted in 0 of the last 4 elections. Whereas for Democrats, those no prop voters are just 30,000. So that's a 2-to-1 margin. Republican, that's a 2-to-1 differential. Republican advantage with no prop voters, voters that have not voted in any of the last 4 elections. Republican advantage for low prop voters is similar. Those who voted in 1 of the last 4 elections, 61,000 are voting Republican, while 43,000 are voting Democrat. So like Nevada, Democrats are behind in the vote, but they are ahead in terms of the amount of high propensity voters they're cannibalizing. High propensity voters who are not coming out on election day because they've already voted in early voting, whereas the vast majority of Republicans, high propensity voters, have yet to come out to vote. And they will. They vote by definition. They've voted in 4 of the last 4 elections. Nothing's going to stop them from voting. In other words, in both Nevada and Arizona, Republicans got plenty of gas in the tank. And that's been corroborated by Mark Mitchell, our good friend over at Rasmussen. His polling data found that 50% of Trump voters nationally say they are going to be voting on Election Day, whereas only 39% of Harris voters are voting on Election Day. So the Democrats are burning through their high prop voters. So what this means is that Kamala has to win independents by massive margins. We're talking margins that far exceed anything that Biden pulled off or Obama ever achieved, because there's just simply not enough Democrats to make up the vote. But unfortunately for her, all the polls are showing that Trump is winning independents and winning them rather handily. Independents tend to go with wherever the political momentum is, and obviously the momentum right now, as we can clearly see in both Nevada and in Arizona, is with Trump. So this is the actual election of 2024 playing out in real time between the two states whose voters overwhelmingly tend to vote early. Robert Barnes said yesterday on What Are the Odds live stream with Rich Barris, he said, we are looking at the most Republican-friendly electorate in the modern era. Most likely an R+1, R+2 electorate. Now, of course, what am I about to say? How do I end all these awesome videos? Right? What am I going to say? This is no time for complacency. We have to act as if we are 2 to 3 points down. We have to get out there and do absolutely everything we possibly can to make sure that this is the biggest blowout victory we have seen in decades. Do not let up in the least. The good news is our fellow patriots in Arizona and Nevada are doing just that. They are rising up to the challenge and posting historic numbers. Now it's our turn. Let's do this.